Genesis, as we know, he had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. This is verse 16, 17 and 16. Genesis 17 and 16. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yeah, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Right? He's talking about Sarah. Right? It says, then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? Question. And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? Right? It's going back to what they just read in in Romans, the 4th chapter. That faith had works, man. It had to have purpose and it had to have works. And it says, and Abraham said unto the power, O thy Ishmael might live before thee. And the Most High said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Right? He said the covenant goes to Isaac. That was point blank right there. He said he's going to establish his covenant, right, with him. You know? That covenant was circumcision. When you go back and read it. I'm going to look up Isaac and see what it means. Isaac. Hebrew 33. Yatazak, meaning he laughs. That is mockery, because they named him that because why? That's why Abraham, he fell on his face and started laughing, because he said, man, I'm 100 years old and my wife 90, how the hell we gonna have a kid? He was laughing at that. And then the Lord made him have to put the works in and that purpose, and the kid came out. That's why they named him Isaac. You know? Verse 20, or now we're going to go to 22 and 16. 22 and 16. Genesis 22 and 16. Now this chapter here, this was Abraham. Isaac was commanded to offer up Abraham. Right? He took him on took him to the land of Moriah. He was going to sacrifice him. Right? And I'm going to read in verse 11 and 12. He said, and the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of the heavens, after he had him up on the altar, and he had the knife ready to slay his son. He said, and the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven, said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, lie not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thy anything unto him. And now I know that thou fearest Yahweh, seeing that thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. So Abraham was going to sacrifice him because he feared the Lord. So he was going to sacrifice Isaac. And once he proved that he was going to do that and he feared the Lord, the angel said, hey, wait a minute, hold up. Now we know you upright, you know. We know now you upright. You know, you're doing what you're supposed to. You know. Now, verse 16 says, and said, by myself have I sworn, said the Lord Yahweh, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven. So we know there's plenty of stars in the heavens, man. It's billions of stars in the heaven. And the Lord said He's going to multiply thy seed, Abraham's seed, like Isaac's seed, like the stars of heaven. So that lets you know, man, there are billions and billions of Israelites on this planet right now. Even with the change in the face. Some looking like Edomites, some taking on looking like Japhet, some looking like, Ishmael, some looking like Moab, some looking like Ammon. There are billions. Because He said we're going to be like the stars of heaven. So there are billions and billions of Israelites on this planet, man. And it's through the Spirit, man. The Spirit bears this self-witness that we are the children of the Most High, man. Romans 8:16. That's why I said in 1 John 4, I read earlier when the other brother come up, you got to try the spirits. See whether they are of God, man. You got to try these spirits. There's many false prophets going into the world, man. It says, verse 17, Genesis 22:17, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, be favored, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So when you obey the Lord Yahweh's voice, good things happen. He bless you, man. You be showed favor. But if you do not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, as it says in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, 15th verse, then he'll have curses fall upon you. That's how he roll. That's his purpose, man. And it says, let's go on, when you go on, so he gave that promise to Isaac, right? When you continue on, when it went through Isaac, and after Isaac, who does it go through from Isaac, right? When you read in the 24th chapter, the 62nd verse, he meets his wife Rebecca, right? And then when he meet her, now they're gonna have kids, and that blessing has got to get put on one of them kids too. This is Genesis 25:1. Genesis 25:1. It says, then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Terah, right? He took him another wife. So that cut you that doctrine where you can't only have one woman. He had Sarah, then he got another wife. And to tell you in Deuteronomy 21st chapter, I think the 15th verse, right? I'm gonna read that. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another unhated, and they both born him children, both the beloved and the hated, if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his son to inherit that which he have, that he may not make the son of the beloved first before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. So you can have more than one wife as long as that woman is not dealing with another man. If a woman ain't got no man, you can take her. But if you take a woman, that scripture saying if you got a woman right now and you hate that woman, right? She just ain't the woman you thought she was. You got a kid with her that's maybe a year old, but you meet another woman that you just desperate in love with. You love her to death, and you have a kid. When it's time to give an inheritance, you can't give it to the one you love. The one you love, you might favor her son. Like, man, I like him, but I hate her, and I really don't like him. When you get that inheritance, you got to give half that inheritance to that son of the one that's hated, because that's your firstborn. That's in the law. But the way the Lord did things back before the law, he did it to his plan and his purpose. Because when you were Abraham, he gave it to what? The second son. He gave it to Isaac. He didn't give it to the firstborn, because the firstborn was by a heathen. Sarah was going to give the child of the promise. Hagar has the kids of bondage. Then he comes through with Jacob and Esau, which we finna read. You're going to see again, he gave it until the second son. That's his plan. That's the Lord's plan. That's Yahweh's plan. Your ways are not higher than his ways. So what the Lord do, you can't tell the potter. If you the clay, you can't tell the potter how to form you. You know? So Genesis 25:1. And then Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. Right? So he had 6 kids with her, but he had 2 kids with his regular wife. So Abraham had a total of 8 kids. And he says, verse 4, and the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Ephraim, and Hanak, and Abida, and Eldaah, all of these were children of Keturah. No, because he had grandkids, 8 kids had kids, so he had grandkids. He had a family with her. Verse 5, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. Right? He gave what he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, he gave gifts. Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while yet he lived eastward unto the east country. So he sent them away from him. Why? Because he gave what he had to Isaac. He only gave gifts to them other kids. So they might have started having hatred for Isaac. It might have killed him. You know what I'm saying? They might have started hating this shit. So the Lord sent him away, man. Separated them kids, man.